tuning in. This is Knowledge of Self, episode 3. We got 2 special guests with us. I go by the name of Nado, and I'm going to have these 2 gentlemen introduce themselves.
What's up, y'all? My name is Cam Archer.
And what's up? My name is Cam Gnarly.
We got 2 Cams, man. I'm excited.
We're not a group.
They're 2 separate individuals.
2 different Cams who happen to be from the same city, but different sides.
Yeah,
of the city.
Wait, how tall are you? How tall gonna tell the tape?
I don't know.
I don't even know. I'm just under 6 feet tall. So
I'm under 6 feet too.
Oh, okay.
just about, you know what I'm saying?
About 5'8". Something like you might be a little taller than me.
I'm a little bit taller.
5'8.5"?
Nah, I'm like 5'11".
Yeah, I'm 5'8".
Yeah,
let's call it that. Put it there.
Man. Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it. As you can tell, the viewer, Vector is not here today, so we're gonna keep it rolling with it. Without him, his presence will be missed. Today's topic, there's gonna be 3 different ones. We're gonna start with some drug abuse and depression and suicide. I guess we'll consider those 3 in one. The reason why I would love to talk about this topic, considering Mac Miller's passing, and I believe a lot of other artists who go through depression, not even so much artists, just anyone in general. We have friends, as an artist, I go through depression, I would like to think, quite frequently. And I know a few of my friends deal with certain things from anxiety as well. So I figured, why not bring that to the table? Because I think the more we discuss that, I think the more people will be more open to being able to talk about their emotions, their state of mind, whether that's from just depression, anxiety. So whoever wants to start and give their advice on that too, let's go ahead and get started.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I've definitely dealt with depression and things of that nature. I try to put it into my music as much as possible, and that's the way I'm able to vent. I'm not really good at talking to somebody and spilling out my heart and stuff. Like, that's not who I am. That's not who I am as a person. I don't know if that's from growing up in the hood or what. You just don't discuss your emotions like that. So
Nope.
When I'm able to write, I'm able to get all of that out, and I'm able to vocalize that. And I have songs I'll never listen to again. I will never, because to me, it's just too personal. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear, but I know that those same songs are some people's favorite songs that I've created and that I've made. They really enjoy it, and they feel like they can relate to it, and that's why they enjoy me as an artist. So I feel like it's important to do that, not just for my own personal health, but for the health of people listening to the content I create.
Yeah, like what Archer said, being an artist, when you're making your music and you're exploring your personal experiences, and whether you put it into the songs or whether you're just dealing with a lot of stuff internally, like me, I feel like going into my musical background, like maintaining a positive attitude, all is a derivative from having really harsh issues early in my creative life, or also like trying to find a way or something to navigate how how the world is, or the things that I've experienced personally. And not to mention just having my own experiences with like drug abuse and like using drugs to cope with certain situations, or just having drug fueled relationships. Like, these are all situations like that I had to deal with early in my musical career, and a lot of homies of mine are still dealing with being on coke or using pills or what have you. Like, so many vices, and realizing like in making my music and being a voice in that aspect of saying like, I've been there and I've done those things too. I was able to step away from them and realize that they weren't really suited for where I want my life to go. But it's like, it's doable. And that's really like my only suggestion to people who are enduring like depression, or people who are struggling with drug use. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and tell somebody like what not to do and what they should do, because we all have particular coping mechanisms that we call into play whenever in any situation. Not just being an artist, but we all have whatever little mechanisms we have to call upon just to make it through the day. So to tell somebody like, oh, you shouldn't do this, or try to put somebody in a narrative of they're a drug addict or they were in a bad place, like it's the complexities of a person is like way too vast to just be like one way. So my only advice to somebody who's going through those things, just like take that shit day by day, and overall just realize that you're really not the only one going through it.
I need to fix something like that in today's culture, though, because like mainstream hip hop, they seem to really be promoting it. You know, I mean, you got rappers out there called Littles, and you know, I listen to 3 songs on the way up here talking about popping pills and shit. So like, how do you remedy that? How do you like get that mindset off of just drug culture? Because that seems to be the stem of it, in my opinion, at least. You know,
I agree to a certain regard, and to give it parallels, like before it was very drug induced music, we had very gang induced music, and I feel like it's just a turn in the generation, because there was a time where we weren't talking about doing drugs, talking about selling drugs. So you know, I can't penalize a generation doing what the previous generation sold to our parents. You know what I'm saying? Which got us addicted to these drugs in the first place. So it's like, for me, it's all about how you choose to talk about drug use. Sometimes hearing a song about drugs is not always glorifying drugs, but sometimes talking about your experiences with drugs may want somebody else to, or may influence someone to try it, and that's up to them. But you know, for every like in gangster rap, like for every great NWA album that was a true testament of the streets, there's 1,000 more that are just pulling us right back. True. You know, so it's all about how you choose to talk about your experiences when it comes to drugs, and you could tell the difference between somebody who's really giving you a true testament of like, this is what I'm dealing with. Drugs is my coping mechanism, so it's in my music, like it's embedded in my music, and people who are just like capitalizing off drug culture because it's a wave.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I know. I kind of look at it like, if you really look at the way what rap has become and how it's become the most popular genre in the world, it's fallen into what rock used to be, and the entire lifestyle of rock music is almost the glorification of drug, sex, and rock and roll. So it's almost like it's taken that place. So it's not supposed to be glorifying it, but it's happening so rampantly now that it is. Just like how it was in the 80s with rock. People were dying 60s, 70s, 80s, legends dying from overdoses and doing too many drugs and things of that nature, and now it's happening in hip hop.
Yeah, that was not something that happened a lot.
I feel like the Stones did something, because how are the Stones still kicking?
That's crazy. They took that ultimate drug.
Yeah. I'm telling you, what did they take? But yeah, like it's crazy, like, the parallels of it.
They're like Mr. Burns, you know how all the diseases trying to go through the wall.
Yeah, they just can't get through. They just can't get through, man. Like, I don't know how Mick Jagger is still walking, let alone strutting.
That's true, though. It really was never no kind of precedent of rap artists or hip hop artists having an overdose on drugs, unless it was like really a part of their, whatever persona.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Usually, it was that guy just got locked up.
Yeah, that's what it really is. Like,
you know what I mean? Like,
oh, he got locked up, but that's, I mean, you can come back from that. You won't be the same, essentially. But I mean, death is a whole nother issue, and kind of like in relation to where you're talking about Mac Miller, like I look at him as somebody who I really related to and drew a lot of inspiration and energy from, because he reminded me of myself, like somebody who, you know, I know what it's like to still maintain a smile on my face when I'm having a lot of inner issues, and then also turning to different vices and substances to maintain that smile and to maintain, some type of good exterior. But, you know, it doesn't necessarily make you one way or another. Like, in Mac's situation, I felt like he was in a really good place at the time. If you heard his new album, it showed a lot of growth in where he was personally, as opposed to a lot of his previous work. And but it comes down to just like, you know, unnecessary habits. You know, it's just like a bad batch, or, you know, a bad night of doing drugs. Like, you know, it's, you know, not all overdose scenes are crazy and dramatic. It's just as simple as doing something that you may do all the time. And if anything, I just hope people are more mindful of what it is that they're doing and where they're getting their stuff from, because there's a more suitable and logical ways to do whatever it is that you're doing. In all cases, there's a right way and a wrong way to do something. And, you know, for somebody like him or someone who has money to just pay for a habit like that all the time, maybe you're not as, you know, being as thorough as you would somebody who is doing it a little bit more scarcely. And, you know, I don't think that he was pick up something random, you know, whatever. And for artists like that, that's what happens to people. Pull up in random cities. Oh, I'm looking for something, you know. And, you know, it's,
I need some Xans. Pull up. Yeah, you ain't thinking, could this be laced with fentanyl? You're not thinking about that.
Cam, you mentioned something about those songs that you can't listen to
Yeah.
but you have fans or that listen to it. To you, what is that? What does that tell you?
It tells me that there's nothing wrong with showing emotion. I tell myself that in retrospect, but I still don't do it. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with like showing your emotion and finding that proper outlet to let it out. And I feel like there's always something that someone can do. It may not be artistically, but it may be there's always an outlet that someone can find if they can take the time to do it, and you can express yourself within that. I actually had a homie who does clothes. He told me like it's tough because he felt like as a fashion designer, he's not always able to convey the emotions he wants to. And that's his outlet to get out when he's depressed or something like that. But he feels like sometimes it's not always conveyed that way. And it's kind of tough for him. So he latches on to artists because he was a huge Mac Miller fan. So he latches on to artists like that who help him fully express the way he feels. So it really, really hit him when Mac Miller passed away. So I was kind of down with him because of that. So you just want to try to find that outlet. You know what I mean? Find something. You don't even have to quote unquote be good at it, but something that makes you feel better in those times.
I'm gonna ask both of you guys this. What advice would you give to somebody who needs to get away from that coping mechanism? Obviously, I think we kind of touched up on it, but if we could be more specific. Which one?
Before I say anything, I don't have all the answers, but I can only give a suggestion from my personal experience. It's a little by little thing, and it's a day by day thing. You can try to separate yourself from the social circles that you do that with all the time. If you feel like they're no longer suiting you in that way, that what makes you guys close, if it's the drugs or if it's the drinking or the smoking, and if that's not what you want to do anymore, then sometimes you could still serve love with a long arm spoon and separate yourself from those people, not necessarily without trying to tell them who they are or who they have to be. It's all about whatever is right for your personal well-being. So take that into account, that not everybody has your personal well-being in their interest. So no one's gonna look out for you like you are. And if you really truly feel like you want to make a change in your life, just take small steps towards that ultimate goal. It's not gonna happen overnight. And those of us that try to do it overnight end up right back where we were, even faster, because nothing worth doing is easy. So
thank you.
Yeah, I would just say, just kind of keep in mind that because to me, it all boils down to fear and a fear of like really trying to make a change, because it's never comfortable.
No.
So just try to keep in mind that fear is a sign of growth. You're about to move into a positive direction most of the time when you feel that fear.
That's a good point.
So just try to take it like Gnarly said, try to take it day by day, because it's never going to happen overnight. Yeah. Like you have to take it a step at a time.
And that applies to most things. Mm-hmm. Like it may sound cliche or what have you, but I mean, you can't do anything in one day. Nothing, no occupation, no job, no relationship. Everything requires cultivation and takes time, and you got to take that time.
No skill, no talent. Nothing is overnight. No. It's all step by step. And there might be a few steps back in that process, and that's with everything. But you just got to take it in stride and keep moving.
That's cool. Thank you.